Hey everyone, it's PK here. Slightly chilly this Saturday morning in Brisbane, but we'll get through it. It's okay. So today I wanted to talk about how actually, although this is against the common trend, how actually positive cash flow properties create very little income, very little passive income. Okay, so if this is something that is interesting to you, just let me know, leave a like or a love or a comment below just so I can see if this video is actually valuable to you. Okay, so why do positive cash flow properties actually produce very, very little income and actually don't get you towards your goal of creating passive income very fast at all? Okay, so I'm here in my garden right now, as you can see. Pretty nice garden. We need to spend a lot of time in the garden. They say that the best fertilizer is the gardener's shadow, right? So to speak. It's a metaphor to say that if we want to take care of something, if we want to actually raise our plants, if we want to take care of our vegetables and everything like that, we need to spend a lot of time in the garden. It's the same thing in property investing, right? If you want to actually create a passive income, if you actually want to use property as a vehicle so that in 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years time you can have the option to reduce your hours at work and just spend more time with your family, your kids and things like that, then just like in the garden, you need to spend a lot of time understanding how property actually works, the economics of property, right? So just like if I was to plant a rose bush just like this one and actually not spend too much time taking care of it, pruning it, weeding it, watering it, fertilizing it, it wouldn't grow. And that's the same thing in property investing, right? So if I just buy a property because I've heard that positive cash flow properties are the bee's knees, and if I just go out and pay someone $10,000 or $15,000 to buy me a positive cash flow property, then that is not going to lead to a significant passive income in 5, 10, 15 years time. Okay, and that might sound counterintuitive. So let me break it down for you. So if you ask someone like a buyer's agent or an advisor or any of these people to buy you a positive cash flow property, then that's exactly what they'll do. They'll buy you a positive cash flow property. That property might be worth $350,000. It might have a yield of, let's say, 6-7%, and that property, after all expenses, on an interest-only loan, is going to pocket you, let's say, between $0 to $5,000 every single year. Now, that's a good outcome, so to speak, or hypothetically, but how many of those properties do you actually need for it to actually make a dent in your personal household situation? How many of those $0 to $5,000 income properties do you actually need to be able to quit your job, or to be able to at least have your wife or partner or husband reduce their hours so that you guys can all spend more time with your kids, right? It's going to be a lot of properties. And I tell you right now in 2020, the way that banks are lending money, you can't buy 20 of those types of properties to be able to get a passive income of $100,000, right? 5 times 20 equals $100,000. So this is really the number one trap that I see every single property investor almost falling into. I want a positive cash flow property. I want a positive cash flow property. I want a positive cash flow property, because everyone's so fearful of buying a negatively geared property, right? Everyone's so fearful of saying, look, what if the expenses aren't covered? Then I'm having to dip into my own household budget to finance this thing. I don't want that. Everyone is so fearful of negative gearing that they'll just accept any positive cash flow property. So, and what I'm here to say today is not that you should negatively gear, but what I'm here to say is that positive cash flow is what you should be aiming for, is the hygiene factor, absolutely the base case scenario. But what you should be prioritizing in addition to positive cash flow is very, very, very high growth in the short, medium, and long term, right? So don't just go to a buyer's agent and give them a brief of get me a positive cash flow property, because that's exactly what they'll do. But that thing is going to give you between $0 and $5,000 every single year, but it's not going to grow, right? Because it's very, very, very easy to buy positive cash flow properties that won't grow in value. 95% of positive cash flow properties are those that won't grow in value or will grow negligibly. So yes, it's abated your fear. You're not going to have to fork out money to hold it every year. But in 10 years' time, in 15 years' time from now, it'll also only just give you $0 to $5,000 of income every year. And is that really worth even embarking upon? Is that really even making a dent in your ambitions? Probably not, right? So that's why you need positive cash flow plus short-term growth, plus medium-term growth, plus long-term growth. And 95% of positive cash flow properties don't make that grade, right? It doesn't fit the grade. So I just want you to take away from this video that if you're thinking that all that I really want is a positive cash flow property, then you're going to be very disappointed in how property investing has served you in 5, 10, 15 years from now. Okay, what you really need to do is, much like in the garden, the gardener's shadow is the best fertilizer. Just like that, in your property investing, you need to become educated, right? Even if it is the case that you want to go and use a professional to buy a property for some reason, still you need to become educated, because you can't outsource that responsibility. The more time, the more understanding you have about property economics, and what I talked about today is just one aspect, the better you can guarantee that in 10, 15, 20 years' time, you will actually achieve a passive income that you can retire off. Because that's entirely possible, but it's entirely impossible if all you are trying to do is buy positive cash flow property. You need to have a long-term strategy in place, and really the way that you get there is through positive cash flow plus short, medium, and long-term growth. None of this are only long-term growth. Okay, anyone can buy long-term growth properties. We need short, medium, and long-term growth, and we want the property to be cash flow positive, so that the single property that gives us $5,000 right away in 10 years' time is going to give us $30,000 or $35,000. And all of a sudden, you don't need 10 properties. You only need like 4, 5, 6 properties, and you will achieve the goal that you're trying to achieve. Okay, so I'm having a bad hair day. I'm just trying to fix it repeatedly. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense, guys. If it does, let me know. If it doesn't, let me know as well. Yeah, I can see some comments here. Absolutely, 100%. So I know that it's a common myth that positive cash flow properties are going to get you towards your goals. I just want to, unfortunately, make life a little bit harder for you and say that's not going to get you to your goals. You need your property to increase in value by $50,000 to $100,000 in the first 2 or 2.5 years in order to buy again and again and again and actually get to the goal of financial independence in 10 or 15 years' time. If you don't get that sort of growth, if all you get is positive cash flow, then categorically I can say that in a buy and hold vanilla strategy, property investing is going to disappoint you over the long term. Okay, and it's pretty hard for me to say that, right? Because I'm in the industry, but there's some honest truths here. Okay, so hopefully that was useful. Give me a like or love if it was. My name's PK. You can comment right below if you have any questions, follow-up questions or comments. Otherwise, DM me if you want to take the conversation further. Catch you later, guys. Have a great weekend. Bye.